Welcome to Idaho Fish and Game's second installment of the State of Deer and Elk series. Last time we talked about how we use the movements of collared deer and elk to help us define populations. This time I'm going to walk you through the main survey methods that we use to estimate abundance and composition of those populations. First off, a couple definitions so we're all on the same page. When biologists talk about estimating abundance, we're talking about estimating how many total animals are in a population. When we say we're estimating composition, we're talking about the portion of the population in different sex and age classes. Buck-doe fawn and bull cow-calf ratio estimates come from composition surveys. These ratios are usually presented as the number of bucks or bulls and fawns or calves per 100 does or cows. In this example, the ratio would be 20 bucks and 50 fawns per 100 does. Helicopter aerial surveys are the primary method IDFG uses to estimate mule deer and elk abundance and composition in most parts of Idaho. An aerial survey team consists of a contracted, experienced helicopter pilot and 2 trained IDFG observers. Each IDFG observer has a specific job and primary viewing area during the survey to increase efficiency, ensure accurate data collection, and make sure the survey area is adequately covered. New IDFG observers work with experienced observers to learn the process and protocols. To be as efficient as possible, we conduct abundance aerial surveys between January and March when animals are concentrated on winter range. Because mule deer bucks begin dropping their antlers in December, often before all deer are concentrated on winter range, a separate, shorter survey in December is needed to estimate mule deer composition. IDFG conducts mule deer composition surveys each year in the main southern Idaho mule deer populations. Abundance surveys are much more intensive, so we must rotate our survey resources to different areas of the state each year, which usually results in an abundance survey every 5 to 6 years for most populations of mule deer and elk. IDFG aerial surveys follow a strict protocol that includes standardizing aircraft type, speed, altitude, time of year, observer number and training, and flight pattern. The flight pattern we use is designed to adequately cover the survey area while also taking many steps to minimize the potential for double counting animals. But even with the strict protocol, factors we can't control, like snow conditions and the type of and amount of vegetation cover, and animal behavior, like this mule deer hiding under this juniper tree, makes it impossible for us to physically see every individual deer and elk. Therefore, we need methods to estimate the number of animals we miss on a survey to ensure our final abundance estimates are as close as possible to the population's true abundance. In the 1980s and 90s, researchers from Idaho and other western states used aerial surveys in areas with radio-collared mule deer and elk to understand the various combinations of environmental and animal behavior conditions under which observers saw or missed animals during a survey. The conditions they measured included the amount and type of vegetation and the portion of ground that was covered in snow, and the size and activity of the group of animals that the collared animal was in. As you might guess, a single animal lying in dense cover with no contrasting snow background was sometimes missed, while a large group of animals in open cover with a snow background were never missed, and all other combinations of vegetation, snow, group size, and activity led to a probability of the observers seeing the animals that was somewhere in between those two extremes. Today we use the results of that past research combined with the specific conditions we observed during a survey to estimate the number of animals we likely missed during a survey, which we call a sightability correction. Although we continue to extensively use aerial surveys, we're also researching a new method to estimate abundance and composition with grids of trail cameras. The results of our research to date are promising, and this method could provide some advantages for future monitoring. Like, camera-based surveys can provide estimates for additional species that are difficult to survey with a helicopter, like white-tailed deer. They can also produce abundance and composition estimates for multiple species with one survey effort. They can produce estimates in habitats where aerial surveys are difficult, like North Idaho forests. And they are not restricted to estimates on winter range, which could eliminate the need for 2 separate surveys to estimate mule deer composition. We plan to continue our research on camera-based estimation, and if it continues to prove reliable, we will likely utilize it more in the future. You might wonder what we do to understand abundance in years when we don't conduct an abundance survey. We can utilize other data that we collect, like survival of adults and juveniles in the population, which we will talk about more in our next video, harvest levels, which we get from mandatory harvest reporting, and ratios from composition surveys to predict how abundance changes in between survey years. Thanks for joining me to hear about Idaho Fish and Game's survey methods. Check back to our website frequently for the next installment of the State of Deer and Elk video. Next time we'll talk about how we use monitoring of GPS-collared animals to understand survival and causes of mortality for deer and elk in Idaho. Talk to you soon.